Hi there. Good afternoon. This is the Hal and Hobbs show without Hal. We don't know where he is. We don't know what he's done. We don't know where he's going, but we just know that we don't have a Hal here. So who we do have is Ashley Fahmie. She is a new realtor. She actually works with me in our office, and I think what we're trying to do is today's show is going to be more about what new agents experience, things that you've seen that you like, things that are cool, things that are interesting, and that's it. So a little bit of background on you. Give me some, even though I know it all.
Well, thanks for having me on
Sure.
with you. So I'm new to the business here since May, got my license, been working with you ever since. It's totally new to me
Yep.
comparing to my last career as a nurse. So total opposite end of the spectrum, but I'm loving it.
Oh, great, great. It's good to know that you're a nurse. That way, if we have a heart attack, you can take care of us.
I
So
still remember some
there,
things.
there you go. I like that. We always start our shows with Hal with a simple question: what did you learn in real estate? I know what you learned, but what did you learn in real estate this week?
This week, exciting
Mhm.
septic tank inspections.
Yes, exactly.
So I've never seen one with my own eyes. I
Mhm.
had an idea of how it went,
Mhm.
and it smelled horrible.
Yes, and at the time at 7:30 in the morning
On a Monday.
on a Monday,
On a
that is
Monday.
your wake up call. I
That was how I
love it.
started my week.
I love it. So you want to know what I learned?
Go ahead, tell me.
I learned that I don't have to do any more septic tank inspections in the morning, in the afternoon. That's why we have you. We have you here. So the show today is really just going to be about that. I think one of the critical elements that most people don't realize about real estate is that as new agents come in, you have some things that are going to surprise you,
Right.
some things that are going to be interesting, some of the things that you didn't expect.
Right.
So and again, most new agents will either go to a big firm where they get a certain amount of training. In our case, you came to kind of a big firm, yet you're working kind of in a team atmosphere, even though it's just us two. And so what I want to ask you is, I think, what surprised you the most coming in from starting as a real estate agent, cold, without really any background or any experience? What surprised you about the industry?
That without a mentor, I'd be lost. Everything I learned in real estate school, those
Uh-huh.
7 days that I just slaved in a book, I don't see myself using a whole
Mhm.
lot of that information. I mean, I see the importance of it. There's
Mhm.
a lot of numbers that you need to know.
Mhm.
But even though I was interested in real estate before I became an agent, I thought I knew more than I actually did. And
Right.
that was surprising.
Yeah. That's one of the things that coming out of school we always say that you don't even like use half the stuff that you learn there. And I always tease you because I ask you questions that didn't you learn this? No, they don't
No,
teach
they didn't
this.
teach me that part.
They don't teach you that part. So I think that's one of the I think that's one of the biggest surprises that most agents come in.
Yeah.
And unless you're into a big firm that is just going to ingrain their procedures, their process, I think coming in into a team or a mentoring standpoint is a little bit of a different vibe. Okay, so that's surprising. What's been the most satisfying that you've seen from an agent standpoint, from a new person, like something that you say to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm actually getting something done."
Yeah. Well, I thought leaving healthcare, I would never have that impact that you have when you're a nurse and you're helping someone
Right.
at their worst times, at their bedside. You'll never think you'll make that impact in another career, but just as satisfying to move a young couple from out of the state into their first apartment together. Helping people transition in
Right.
their life. That's what, for most people, residential real estate is about
Yeah.
transitioning, growing,
Yeah.
downsizing, all types of
Yeah.
situations. So I got a lot of satisfaction out of that.
And I think it's a point that you make is it's impactful in other people's lives.
Right.
And I think they have to have that trust value. And I know that one of the transactions you did, you hadn't even met the individuals. It was all video.
Right.
Super cool concept, folks. Video. I haven't figured that one out yet. But I think that one of the things that you did was you got these folks into a place, and you transitioned them through, and that they're very happy with where they're at. And I think that's really one of the critical elements that we take that for granted, that we do impact people's lives.
Yeah. Housing is, I mean, your needs. You
Yeah,
need shelter,
yeah, yeah,
and that's what we do.
yeah. That's what we do.
It's important.
So, as a new agent, you have one cool little aspect or something very interesting that you've actually done a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
You've actually been involved in a lot of deals.
Yeah.
So technically, if you look back, you've actually done more deals in your time period than the average agent does in a year,
Wow.
just so you know. So you've got already almost 2 years experience
In eight
in what
months.
in 8 months,
Oh,
which is kind of
wow.
cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That's kind of a cool
Well,
aspect.
thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess my next question is, okay, so we've dealt with satisfying, what surprised you, what's satisfactory. What are the frustrations that you see in the industry?
Communication, especially putting in offers
Mhm.
on houses for sale. These listing agents are getting tons of offers.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to manage them all, but it's frustrating, the communication, trying to get an offer accepted. Of course, that's the ultimate goal, but just communication, it's
Yeah.
real frustrating when
What-
you're trying to work with somebody that can't communicate.
Yeah, and then doesn't communicate. And one of the frustrating parts people don't realize is that it actually affects your client because your client isn't getting any information. And we mentioned this in one of the other shows about how you had presented 5 or 6 offers
Mm-hmm.
and they're going nowhere, and it's like the most difficult aspect of the business.
Yeah, I'm working with another young couple.
Right.
They had to take a break for a few months because they were just so let down on
Right.
not getting any offers accepted. I think they put in about 4 or 5 and none.
Right.
So they got a little let down. They took a break, but they're back at it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if we can get them going. You mentioned in the comment just now about the multiple offers and all of these
Mhm.
offers that are out there.
Hmm.
Now we just went through that
Right.
with one of our transactions.
Yeah.
And what I'm very kind of happy to say, or proud of what some of the things you did, was you did communicate with people. You created a show list and you created an offer list that actually condensed everything into the transaction. Can you tell me a little bit of how you came up with that concept, and how did you do that? And you even put our logo on there, which is super surprising.
Technology.
Technology. Oh my God, I hate that word.
An Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
My OCD from my nursing days takes over, and I'm like, I need to put this on a log, and I just log it.
Right.
And check mark. I've gotten back to them. I haven't gotten back to them. I've said this. We
Mhm.
didn't say that. And keep track. It's
Yeah.
just documentation.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that you did was that you actually had a list that said, we've communicated with these folks. Everybody did get a call back. Everybody did get an email format
Mhm.
that you followed through with them.
Correct.
And then you followed up with questions.
Right.
And I think that is one of the things that new agents should learn. And I think you do that really, really well. I think you've done that. Yeah, I think I think you've done a great job with it. And it's intuitive to you.
It is.
It's not something that I, have to bang over your head, hey, do this.
Right.
But I think it's very intuitive that you have that communication skill.
Yeah.
So good job.
Well, thank you.
And that way I don't have to. Another thing I don't have to do. So it's absolutely brilliant.
That's a big compliment.
It is. No, you've done very, very, very well. Okay, let's see what else out of the deals that you've done or the deals that you've been involved with.
Mm-hmm.
What's been so? Give me because a new agent, and most people also don't see this, is as a new agent you start to see a lot of stuff
Fast.
And you start to see things that you say to yourself, whoa. And I know you're a Miami native.
Yes. Born and raised.
So what has caught you, what's been something like walking into a building or just in general about something that you didn't know about Miami that you now know?
Well, I thought I knew all about Miami, and I learned real quick that I don't. Almost weekly, I'm going to new neighborhoods I never drove through. I'm going into a new condo building I've never maybe even heard of. So I thought I knew all about Miami, but I don't.
And that's why you got to have Miami.
You got to have Miami.
You got to have Miami. So tell me, give me a wow moment, like in something in a building or any kind of the properties that you have been seeing.
I've never been a person who likes to be in high rises and condos, so I never really appreciated like an ocean view.
Right.
So, like looking at the Icon on South Beach, looking at the views there, it's like breathtaking. I'm like, oh, this is why people live in condos. So that's a big part of it. I've never really been in condos until real estate. Yeah.
And some of the amenities are always a little bit of a.
Oh my gosh, know my favorite. Park Grove,
Yeah.
Coconut Grove, man, your amenities.
got them going.
Yeah.
I got them going. And we're also sitting on a really cool property now in Abbotsfy,
Yeah.
and talk about views and spectacular, just
I
like
mean,
wow moment.
yeah. Like you can't even imagine.
So hit us up for a showing on at Abbotsfy.
If you want to see the views.
Exactly. If you want to see the views and you got 2.75, so toss it our way. Let me see. I'm going to put my glasses on because I do have another question here. Okay. So one of the biggest things that I've mentored quite a few agents through my time, but one of the things that I always stress is the paperwork aspect.
Right.
And I don't think you learn a lot of that coming out of the school aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So, from a standpoint of paperwork, what have you seen, or what do you feel a new agent should do, or kind of follow up with kind of just the basic paperwork, from contracts to leases to anything like that? Any insight for the newbies?
Know what you need to have.
Right.
Make a list, like an inventory list of the documents that you need to have in the file. Make sure they're there as soon as you can get them there. Right. And then as you move forward in the transaction, it just flows better. And then if you do run into a problem, you got your paperwork in order already. Exactly. It makes the whole transition through a transaction very easy.
Right, very easy. And I noticed that you set up transaction timelines, which, again, I never had, simply because I just
technology.
That word keeps coming up. Technology. I'm having trouble with it. But you did the transaction timeline, which actually keeps everything in a flow. Do you feel that's something that is?
Yeah, what I love about that is that's something you could send to your buyer or seller. That's something that you could send to the agent you're working with on the other side. So everyone's on the same page with dates and timelines. And if there's any discrepancies or disagreements, we could do it right away, have it on paper, keeps your calendar going.
Yeah.
So I put a logo on it, so it's nice and pretty.
I know, I saw that technology.
Yeah.
I like that technology. So speaking of technology, so let's go to what I know I am very, very poor at, and you actually happen to be very, very good at it, is for new agents, the hardest part is acquiring that clientele.
Yeah.
Acquiring those contacts that you do it. And the industry pushes, one of the things is you either farm an area, which I've never believed in. It's something that I've never done, nor do I even talk about showing it. But I think from a standpoint of the social media component, what do you think from a new agent standpoint, things that have worked for you to get, some traction? And just talk about the social media component. What do you enjoy about it? What works?
Well, social media is fun. I really wasn't a social media addict pre-real estate, but it's getting there. I'm always looking at the phone, taking a video, taking a picture. So it's fun, first of all. But it really, I think, for new agents can get you out in front of an audience. And you could start to build some trust with that audience. If you're always on social media, they see that you're out and about all day. The end goal would be when somebody thinks of real estate, that they have a real estate need, they're going to think of me, So that's what my goal is, to just build my audience. And I want to work with people who want to work with me. So just being authentic on social media. And if there's something you don't like about me, then please don't call.
We talked about we actually talked about this on this show all the time, about there's personalities,
right?
And you're not going to work with every personality.
No.
You're just not going to hit it off. I mean, we like our we've had clients that we've worked with which we struggled with because of the next magic question that I'm going to ask you, but we'll get to it in a bit.
Sure.
But I think we struggle when we don't have that connection,
Right.
And because again, today we did a showing, so the buyer's agent showed up, decked out.
Yeah.
We showed up like this. So there's just it's a relationship between your client and your client and who we are. And I think that's critical.
It's about being flexible too. I could definitely adapt to different personality types and needs. But you never want to work with somebody that's completely conflicted,
Right.
So just back to social media, being authentic, I think
Right.
is key.
I think that's a key. I think that's a key component too. And even if it looks a little crazy every once in a while with something that we
Hey,
post, but at
you
the
know,
end of the day, it keeps what we do well. And again, I think we've really picked up on the social aspect, and we're actually going to start a new channel.
yes, we are.
We are starting a new channel, which is Gotta Have Miami on YouTube.
Subscribe now.
Subscribe now.
Subscribe now.
Subscribe now. Subscribe now. We don't have any content on it, but subscribe now.
You'll get a notification
Exactly.
when we do.
We'll soon have some content on the site. And again, that's a tribute to you. You were the one that created that, and you're the one that's really pushing that. Because me, as an old guy, we're like from a different culture.
Right.
So I'm very thankful that you're actually forcing me to work. That's really the I'd rather be playing golf, hanging out, and
You can
stuff like
still play golf.
yeah, no, I can't.
No, no more golf.
No more golf. The golf is a little tricky. Let's see, what other topics? Okay, so if anything that I have, we have, I have done or shown you, what would be the one thing that you would say to yourself? Okay, I think every young agent, should really keep this in mind.
Manage expectations.
Just
Very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so. And again, we're working with a client that isn't even our client
Right.
right now, and we're being forced to manage expectations. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you've been going through
Well,
with the buyer.
It's obvious that the expectations were not set at the beginning, or they were set very high, especially in this market where inventory is low. It's competitive. You're up against, everyone knows how it is now. You're up against cash buyers, investors, and nitpicking on little things and isn't going to get you the contract.
Yeah, what you want.
And it's another agent's client that we're helping out, so let him down softly. But it's clear that his expectations were set pretty high.
Right.
And so now he's not getting offers, and he's probably frustrated. And
we've gone through that. Also, managing expectations to the agents on the other side,
right?
Which we've talked about this, behind the scenes, that we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
That we actually, make sure that the agents understand where the seller's positions are, or where the buyer's positions are. So I think that's critical too.
Back to communication, communication and managing expectations.
Over communicate, and over communicate.
Right.
We got. Do we have a lot of time left? 12 minutes. We've got to fill 12 minutes of airtime. So how are we going to fill 12 minutes of airtime? With how I always talk about the Dolphins, but
I'm the wrong person to talk about the Dolphins.
No. We can't talk about the Dolphins.
I'm not a sports person.
Oh man! Oh come on! Your husband is like a pro cyclist and stuff
like that. Okay, I can talk about cycling.
Right.
I think I've heard enough about that. Exactly. I could give you some information.
By the way, her husband is my nephew, so so we hear a lot about cycling, and so going back to real estate. What if you could see? Because this question always gets asked of realtors, and let's ask you that same question: is where do you see the market? Where do you think, based on the experience that you've had, even in a limited experience, where do you think the market is going to be moving within the next, let's say, 6 months?
I feel like I can only make a judgment on Miami,
right?
Because that's where I'm focusing. I don't see the market really slowing down.
Right.
Maybe a tad less competitive. We're seeing houses stay on the market a little bit longer. Right. But I don't think prices are going down. I don't think demand is going down. I think we know that based on the population growing. I don't know the exact numbers, but I've read articles that show that our population's growing, and I'm sure it will continue to grow.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I think what we're going to see probably is some of the high-end rentals come off. Again, we showed a property today to somebody that's renting in a high-end building,
right,
and looking to buy now.
Right. And
you mentioned that that's something that you saw as a trend.
Yeah.
Recently. So young agents have one of the unique aspects of it is that you deal with a lot of renters.
Yeah.
You deal with a lot of leasing because it's just the generation. And then when you deal with first-time home buyers, some of the frustrations that go there. So from a leasing standpoint, what have you felt, or what do you feel has been the biggest challenge outside of getting your offers
Right.
accepted? For let's get past that one, because that's very difficult. But after that, what do you think from a leasing standpoint you have seen that is a challenge, both on the listing side, which we've discussed listings, and also from the tenant side?
I mean, for the tenant side, it's frustrating because there's not enough rentals. You know, something comes on the market for one day. I talk to the agent, and they're like, "I already have offers. I haven't even shown the place." So getting the renter to really trust that that I'm telling you there's a demand. I'm not just pushing you into a rental.
Right.
It's hard. So that's challenging. And then from a listing agent, you know, some of the units we've rented out, managing expectations. What are you moving into? You know, everything looks great usually the first time you see it, and then you come in a second time and you notice that in the corner, you notice that on the ceiling, you notice, but you already signed the lease, you know, and it's just back to managing expectations.
I think that you hit a really good point. You hit a really good point. Now, you've done something that is interesting, especially for a young agent, for somebody that really hasn't been in the business all that long, is that when you're trying to get a lease, you have your people like set, like, guys, you need all of this and stuff. Can you kind of give us a little insight on that?
Well, I don't know how it was done before, but ever since I started, you need to have all your ducks in a row when you send that offer, you know, because they're going to be asking for proof of funds. They're going to be asking for credit reports, you know, employment verification. You know, that's a standard at this point for me. I never saw the market in a different light. It's always been that way. So yeah, that's.
And do you get any pushback from any of your folks to get all this information out there, or do you, again, manage your expectations and say, guys, we need this?
I feel like I haven't gotten pushback from renters. You know, I just let them know you're going to need these things if you want to make an offer. You know, I give them a list of things. I try to put everything in an email or a text message so you can refer back to it. You don't forget. And I send everything in with the offer, everything that I would want to see as a listing agent.
Right. And then from the buyer standpoint, when you're doing buyers, what component do you feel is outside of price point, making sure that the price is right? What else do you feel that an agent can do, a young agent can do to get their offer up front, outside of pricing? What have you seen as some of the things that when you get feedback from some of the listing agents?
You know, just being respectful of the other agent's time, understanding that they're busy, they're swamped with offers. I'm sure they have maybe more than one listing at a time, so who knows how much work they have going on. So communicating, but keeping the communication short and sweet, not over communicating with a paragraph of an email. You know, just get your point across, be kind, be respectful. And I've gotten the best feedback from that.
Yeah, those are good solid points. And I would say that from an agent standpoint, from a new agent standpoint, if I can stress one thing to anyone that's listening to the show that is a young agent, be respectful of the other agent's time.
Right.
And especially if you're dealing with a listing agent that's been around for a long time, we don't need pretty.
Right.
We just need facts. We need stuff to get in and out, because our days are slammed.
Right.
And I don't need a long dissertation. And please, whatever you do, don't preach to me about why you're offering this price or why you're not offering this. I don't care. Like
what's the number?
Yeah, just what's the number? Let's get this deal done. And I can tell you, on the property that we had like the 80 offers. I got another one yesterday, like an offer from one of these investors.
Right.
And the guy's like, hey, where are we at? I said, dude, you're like not even close. Like, you're 100,000 upside down on this deal. So just stop bothering me.
Right.
So again, he's persistent, but just don't waste our time. And I think that's something you've done very well also. To finish up, I think we're going to just call the show. We're going to go into Thanksgiving. We're going to go into the holidays.
Yeah.
Right. So this is going to be our sales pitch, guys. And this is Ashley again making me work, which is something I don't want to do. But I think we're going into the holidays, and obviously the market's going to slow down.
Of course. Who wants to do real estate, buy, sell, move during Christmas? Nobody.
Yeah. And anything that we have already in the pipeline is already there.
Right.
Because we are closing some deals in December. But again, for the beginning, what's your advice to the folks out there after the holidays?
If you're thinking about selling, January is the time to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to be back on the market. They
Yeah.
start making moves for the new year. People want to move out of Miami. People want to move into
Yeah.
Miami. So if you're thinking about it,
That's the
January
time.
1st is a good date.
January and February are usually our top listing months
Yeah.
because we've got everybody coming out of the holidays and making a decision. So if you're thinking about selling a property, call Ash. Don't
I'm
call
here.
me. Don't give me a call because that's yeah, no. And I think we can move forward on that. So any final comments for the general public that you'd like to add in there?
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Gotta have Miami. Also, subscribe to our YouTube. No content yet, but if you're subscribed, you'll get notifications. And feel free to DM us
Yeah.
anytime.
Isn't that fun? DMing. I don't even know what the hell that means. So technology has gotten way ahead of us, ahead of me. So again, we thank you for tuning in. We didn't get any questions today, but again, this broadcast is out there. And if you do have any future questions for us, you can DM Ashley. Ashley's number is, what's your cell number?
Oh, or text me.
Or text you.
You can text me 305-801-0954.
Okay. And mine is 305-582-5085 since 1986, which means I am old. And again, Ash, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we'll go pick up your two kids, or they got picked up.
They were picked up.
They were picked up already.
Yeah.
All righty. So again, thank you, folks, for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next couple of weeks. Have a good Thanksgiving.